Hi, welcome back to the review. Glad to have you back. Glad to see you. Good to be here. This is maybe not the optimal lighting. I'm doing this pretty early in the morning before I have to go to work. I've got a long day and it's been pretty busy recently, so I apologize. But welcome back, and as promised, again, more content. I've finally been able to hone and zero in on a schedule that's going to work for once. I was able to, months ago, put out stuff on a pretty regular basis. Then life got a little bit crazy. Changed jobs. Things got crazy at home. So it's been a bit of a challenge, and I apologize. But, so as I mentioned in the last video, I loved, again, CCGs. And there's a recent one that's come out that I'm going to review, which I've mentioned before, is Transformers, the trading card game or customizable card game. I'm not going to say in the outset of this, what I'm about to say is it's about freaking time. Oh my gosh, it's freaking time. Hallelujah. And the reason I say this is this property's been around since the 80s, early 80s, maybe even late 70s, but at the very least early 80s. And yet, it never got a proper CCG or TCG adaptation or treatment. Unlike almost what seems like every other LP that got a trading card game or CCG in the 90s, during the 90s boom of the genre of the game type. And so it's about time. It's taken years. Finally, we have one that's viable, that's pretty fun. And let's get into it and let's start. So this game is extremely simple. There's in fact only 3 card types, which the last time I've seen something in terms of number of card type wise that simple has been Spycraft, which only had 4 card types out of every card type. And let's see, which had only 4 card types in the entire game. So this is a first for a while. Now. But it's not nearly that simple, though. It's not nearly that complex of a game, though, as compared to Spycraft that I've reviewed months earlier on this channel that you've seen me play. It's much simpler, so I'm going to give you just an overview of the card, just to show you examples of the card type, overview of the card play, and my thoughts. So here we go. So this game has come out in conjunction with Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast. Finally came out last month. And I don't remember seeing a lot of buzz about it. There was some for those who are definitely hardcore fans, like I am with the Transformers franchise. But outside of that, there wasn't a lot of huge buzz. But it's out, and there's a lot of buzz now. A lot of people really enjoy it. Transformers, just so you're also, for those who may not know what Transformers is. Transformers is an LP that involved a toy line from I forgot the name of the original toy line, but it came back originally from Japan, and then that toy line was brought into the U.S. under a different flagship, and that toy line was given a backstory for all the different figures in that toy line, and branded Transformers, and given these identities and these background stories and characterizations for all of these different toys, and thus the Transformers property, as we know it in the U.S., was created. And that initially started out as a toy line, and then picked up quickly by Marvel Comics to do a comic book line. And then also very quickly after that, there was a TV series that also had started up on the franchise. And so it very quickly grew into very vast, and within a few short years, vast, popular, and pretty expansive and pretty in-depth universe of characters that a lot of people love nowadays. So then I love it. I grew up on Transformers, a lot of people did. And so it's a phenomenal, amazing, and a really fun franchise. So again, highly recommend it. For people to read the comics, and I think right now the current publisher for Transformers comics is IDW, but originally started as Marvel. And again, the toys are great, fun to play with. But I think the lore there is great, the characters are great. So now and then it came out, and we get to the 90s, and like I said, all these card games came out, but not a whiff or a hint of Transformers LP being utilized with this boom, despite other Marvel characters used in Overpower, etc., etc. So I never saw it, and then finally here it is now. So basically, the short gist of their lore is you have two warring factions of these Cybertronian organisms, living robots, basically, with what later was established in the lore and in the canon as having souls and being very much alive in not just the scientific but a mystical sense as well. But they're alive, and they are these warring factions that end up on Earth for a lot of time. And then that also jumps to other planets and back to Cybertron, which is our homeworld. And so that's the sort of the setting in this. And the good guys are the Autobots, Decepticons are the bad guys. And so you have this dual war going out between these two factions. And that's the gist of it. So let's go into the card types. Now this game consists, like I said, of a very few. This game has only 3 card types, and that's it. That is it. And only 2 to worry about in a deck that you construct. So I'll get to it. So this is an example of a character card. Now, this is Optimus Prime, as you should be able to see here. Come on. There we go. So there's Optimus Prime, and you've got several different components on this card, but that's an example. Now, you notice the character cards are two-sided, and they have two modes, so it fits with the, again, the mode fits with the theme of Transformers perfectly because of this mode. This mode that can transform, and any of the 2 different sides. So you're going to have these character cards. Now, these character cards, they do have stats on there, and on the bottom, I don't know if you saw it, but there are a number of stars on the bottom, separated into 3 possible, so far I've seen, brackets, 5 each in each bracket. They consist of a certain number of stars. So you construct a team of Transformers that are up to 25 stars worth. It doesn't have to be 25, it can be less, but usually people try to maximize the 25 to get the most juice out of their characters. So, and then the characters again have a name on the top, a subtitle basically, so some characters have multiple versions of themselves, and we've seen this in plenty of other card games, for example like Versus, Overpower, a lot of other ones that I've reviewed. So, that's not new. And then you're going to have traits. So you have, Optimus Prime here. If you look at Optimus Prime, he's got traits across the top. And he's got leader, truck, and melee. And then if you flip him over, some of those traits can sometimes change. So when he's flipped over to his humanoid or his bot mode, he is leader, and he retains the leadership, loses the truck trait, and swaps melee for ranged. So depending on the side that the Transformer character is, you're going to have various different traits that you can have. Now they're also going to have a color and matching affiliation that's going to match their affiliation. So Autobots are red. See there, Autobots are red. And then also their affiliation is the bottom right-hand corner there, which is the Autobot symbol. So, shows you Autobot Decepticons are purple, with, again, Decepticons on the bottom. So, you're going to have game text on the bottom if they have game text. Not every card does. Some cards are vanilla, meaning there's no game text. They're just purely there for stats. But if there's game text, it's going to be in that box below the picture, between the picture and the stats. Now, you'll know which mode is mode because between attack and defense, you have the modes stated. So, whatever mode they're in. So this, when Optimus is in his truck form, it's called his alt mode. And they do that because there are different forms in these different alternate modes that they have, so they just called it alt mode. Then you're going to have attack, which is orange, which has the sword icon. 14, which is heart with a wrench in there. Sorry, his is 14. But I'm sorry, you have attack, which is a sword, and color orange, with a number. Then you're going to have, after the mode indication, you're going to have defense, which is red with a number, and the symbol is a heart with a wrench in the center. And then the defense is going to be blue with a number with what looks like a shield with striated ends on one side, of the upper side of the shield, the left side. That's the defense. And also in addition on there, you're going to see in a little bracket on the side between the defense and the affiliation icon. So flash it up again really quick. But you're going to see here the stats for the other mode. So you don't have to flip it over to see what the other mode stats are. You can just look. But this shows that again, he's got an 8 attack and 2 defense in his other mode. So you know, it's just a reference purposes. But that's pretty much the card, the breakdown of the card. So that's a character card. If you notice, as you'll show here, I'll show you here, the size of these cards are much bigger than standard Magic card. So here is a standard card size, then here is the character cards. So the character cards are much bigger, and so you're going to need special cases for the size. If you want to sleeve them, you're going to need some hard sleeves if you really want to protect them. And you'll probably want to because this alt mode, as you see, it's a standard card. There's nothing holographic about it, but if you go to the bot mode, all of the bot modes have some kind of holographic detail somewhere on the card. So you're going to want to protect them. But anyway, so there's the character card. You're going to pick up to 25 stars worth, and yes, you can mix affiliations. You don't have to have all Autobot or all Decepticon. You can have some Autobot and some Decepticon, whatever ratio you want. So you can mix and match, which I love. And they better not change that, because that'd be really lame if they change that ever. I saw one person on one person's video about the game suggest that they should. I totally disagree. Highly disagree. A, lore-wise, they have worked together, some people from different factions in the canon, multiple times. And B, it's just more flavorful. So, alright. So now the cards that will comprise of your deck. The deck must be at least 40 cards, but it can be more. It does not have to be exactly 40 cards, which I'm very happy about. And a lot of people, sort of initially when it was coming out, was assuming, and even a lot now still assume that it has to be a 40, meaning exactly 40 card deck. No, it's minimum 40, you can have more. I play the 60 card deck. Alright, so the 2 card types you're going to have are something called a utility and an action. So, and they look the same, except that the little icon is going to be, yeah, they look the same, identical in format. The only difference is going to be there's a little bar on top of the text box that'll tell you whether or not it is an action or a utility. So, if you can see that, come on, focus, machine. Okay, so right there. So that's an action card. And then here's an example of utility card. And this is giving a bonus. So sorry, there is one other change, I'm sorry, besides just the card type title on there above the text box. I'm sorry. The other difference is these do have two boxes on the bottom for utility cards. So these are the text box. So you can have a bonus to attack or defense depending on the card. If they're blank, it doesn't give a bonus to that outright inherently. So that's the other difference with the utility cards. So, but those are the 2 cards, and then so you can have any number of utilities, any number of action cards in your draw deck, and it's just up to you what ratio you want to use. Most people, most of it teeters around a 50-50 percentage, around there on average. But it tends to, if you want to be focusing on action cards or utilities because the character is focusing on those, it just depends on what you want to do. So, now, and that's it. That is literally it. Now, action cards you're going to play on the table and resolve the effects, and when that's done, it's done, and you discard at the end of the turn. Utilities you will attach to a character, and there are 3 different types of utilities. There are actions and upgrades, and there are 3 different types of upgrades. Type of upgrades you have are weapon, armor, and utility. A character can carry up to 1 of each type. And if you have, for example, a weapon on the character and you want to replace that with a different weapon, you can do that. You just discard the current weapon that's on there and put the new one on them. but every character can carry normally up to 1 weapon, 1 armor, and 1 utility. And that's that for that. Now the last thing to know about card types, about the game, for the card design, is you're going to have 3 possible different boxes that are going to show up, as you can see on these cards. On the upper upper right hand corner, of the cards. And you use that when you attack or defend for battle. The orange will add to your attack value, blue will add to your defense value, and you just apply those for when you're the attacker or defender. And then the white icon, you only use it the first time you draw it, when you're drawing battle cards, which I'll explain when we get to the gameplay. But it allows you to draw 2 more cards, so it enhances your ability to attack or defend, possibly. So those are the 3 different icons. Now some cards won't have any icon at all. Some are absent of any icon on the top right hand corner, and those won't trigger anything if you draw them during combat. So those are the card types. That's what they look like. That's the design. So again, the way it works is you're going to have these characters. Every turn you're going to be playing a card, one of 2 different card types, an upgrade and or utility. Sorry, I keep saying utility, I'm sorry. An upgrade and or action card, I'm sorry. One of those 2, so one of each you can play per turn. You can also transform a character, in other words, flip them to the other side, to the other mode, once per turn. And then you have to attack. Every turn you have to attack, and that's the last thing you do in a turn. When you attack, you can attack any of your opponent's opposing characters that are tapped. In other words, turn to the side and you tap a character when you attack. And that's the basic gist of it, and you're going to switch off, and damage is cumulative. You're going to take damage, and it's going to keep building for every time you take damage, unless you heal any of it. Hence the health mode that tells you how much damage a Transformer can take before they're KO'd. This is their health rating. And that's it, and that's the basic gist of attacking. When you attack or defend, you're going to draw the top 2 cards of your draw deck, and again apply those pips or those colors to what I showed you earlier to that combat. If you're attacker, you apply the white and or orange. If you're the defender, you apply the white and or blue, and that just augments or changes those stats to some extent. And that's the basic gameplay. As you notice, I'm trying to make this a shorter review video, and there's really not a lot of detail to go into for the Transformers gameplay, because that's it. That's basically it. I absolutely love this game. I think it's a really good game. I was very apprehensive going into it initially because it looked too simple for me. I wanted a more complex game, and the bare-bone mechanics is deceptively simple, especially if you're playing off just the starter alone itself, the starter deck by itself. But there is a little more nuance to it, a little more details, which did cement to make it so I could like it more, be more enjoyable with it, be more engrossed in the game. But I actually came off enjoying the game quite a bit, and it is a very fun game. So I highly recommend Transformers, the trading card game. Also, I think they've done the LP justice in this game. I think there's more they could have added card types to, like, locations to enhance where you're fighting, things like that, which they might add, in future sets and expansions and so forth later on. But for the sake of capturing the flair and the sense of Transformers as I knew it as I grew up, they did that very successfully. So A+ to Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast for that. So yeah, overall I like it. It's great. The only cons I'm seeing, again, it's a little more on the simpler side of a card game that I like, but I can still enjoy it. But if you're really a stickler to complexity in the game and really want that to an extreme, you're not going to enjoy this game. So it is, again, on the lighter side of card games, of trading card games. So that's something to be aware of. And again, like I mentioned with the card sizes, this is an example of a Decepticon who's also on my team. Like I said, you can mix and match Autobots and Decepticons. But as I noticed, these character cards are much larger than the normal card size for the deck. So that's something you also have to be aware of. So be aware of that. That is something that, again, is something you're going to have to deal with for storage and carrying and things like that. But that's it. So that's my review of Transformers, the trading card game. I highly recommend picking it up. If you like card games, because it's also it may be very accessible to those who might not be able to normally get into something more complex. So that's a plus, in addition to being a minus, depending on what your preference is. And then, of course, the LP. If you love Transformers, then this game is really going to speak to you, because it's a really fun game. It really feels like Transformers experience in a lot of ways. So there it is. Again, that's my review. Thank you again for watching. And then I also am going to be putting up later a video in reference to an event that happened yesterday. I apologize, things have been crazy and busy. But regarding the passing of someone who I wanted to spend a little time to commemorate in a video dedicated to that person. And if you know who I'm talking about, then you'll know who the video is going to be about. But I'm going to do that and then post that later as well. But again, thank you very much. I'll also include some announcements as well in terms of the channel, and that as well in the other video. So there we go. Thank you for watching, and have a great day, and we'll see you next time on the review.